going on, guys? It's Nubby with One Hand Tech, back with another product review. Now the product review for you today is going to be another rework station. Specifically, it's the Xtronic 4040 hot air rework station. And what you see in front of you is the whole kit you get when you buy it. And I'll go over the parts list of the kit and everything that's included. You get the 4040 unit itself, the hot air gun replacement heating element. You get 4 different size hot air nozzles, an IC popper, 10 assorted soldering iron tips, pencil soldering iron holder with a sponge, desoldering wick, and a 5-time magnifying gooseneck lamp. Now before we go in for a closer look around the kit, I want to go over some of the general specifications of the 4040 hot air rework station. This is quite a bit bigger than the other model that I reviewed. With dimensions, it's 7 1/4 inches wide, 5 3/4 inches high, and 9 1/2 inches deep. And so it has quite a bit bigger footprint than some of the other ones that are on the market. This unit weighs 11 pounds, so the weight's kept down a little bit. This unit only works with between 110 to 120 volts at 60 hertz AC. Another thing about this unit is the displays that are on the unit. These two here only display in Celsius. They do not display in Fahrenheit. This unit, like all the other Xtronic units, has been designed to be ESD safe, so it will resist electrostatic discharge. It has a maximum power consumption of 540 watts. And that's about it for the specifications. Now I'll bring you guys in for a closer look at each individual component of the kit so you can see the value of everything and get a better understanding of what you're going to buy. Now here's the IC popper you get with the kit. When it comes in the bag or in the box, it actually comes in a bag in different parts. You have to put it together yourself. It's pretty self-explanatory. You just put the screw on, tighten it down. This IC popper is really handy in helping you remove components from boards. Items like memory chips, quad flat packs, things like that. It works really good with lifting it up off the board so you don't have to touch it. Here are the 2 heating elements you get with the 4040 rework station kit. This one here is the extra heating element for your hot air gun. This one is the extra heating element for the soldering iron. Both of them are really easy to change out, and they both are ceramic heating elements, so they last pretty good, but they are fragile, so if you knock them around too much they will break. Here are the hot air nozzles you get with the kit. They're assorted sizes and they're really easy to change. Only thing you do is slide it over the neck of the hot air gun, tighten down the bolt that's in the front with a screwdriver, and it secures it pretty good. They don't slide around, they don't slide off. They're pretty good, easy attachment to the hot air gun. Now the sizes that you get with the kit are pretty versatile. The bigger one will let you heat up bigger chips or specific sections of boards all at one time, and as you step down through the sizes, it gives you much better precise control over the airflow that's coming out of the hot air gun. What I like to use the little one for is specific components of a board. If I don't want to heat up the rest of the board, I'll just use that little one, take off one part, and that's what that little one's used for. The bigger one I tend to use for if I'm doing Xbox repairs or something, to reflow BGA chips, stuff like that, quad flat packs. The bigger one is much better used for that one. Now here's the tip assortment that you get with the 4040 hot air rework station. They provide you with quite an assortment of tips for your soldering iron to suit just about anything that you'll do with this. In this kit I got 4 conical tips, 1 knife tip, 4 reverse weld tips, and a screwdriver tip. Now I prefer the screwdriver tips myself. I have been using the wider conical tip and the medium size reverse weld tip, and those don't seem to work as good as the screwdriver tips to me. You just get better connectivity because it's flat, blunt on the end. Now these tips that they use on the soldering iron is standard 900M tips, and it's the same tips that you can find on a lot of the major name brand soldering irons like Hakko. You can buy replacement tips and different kinds of tips from other manufacturers. You can also get another assortment of soldering iron tips from the manufacturer of the 4040 rework station. Now, like I said, these tips are the same that other major manufacturers use, so they are very high quality, but like anything else, if you don't take care of them, they're gonna go to crap. And you got to make sure you keep them cleaned, make sure you tend the tips a lot, and just use basic soldering care with these tips, and they'll last you a long time. Here is the desoldering wick you get with the kit. It's called Wick. I've never heard of it before. It's got a lot of Chinese writing on it, but I have used it. It works just as well as any of the other brands, like especially the one you can get from Radio Shack. This one comes at 2 millimeters wide, and you get 1.5 meters of it, about 5 foot. For those who haven't used solder wick before, all it is a copper braid cable with some flux on it, and it's really helpful for to desolder through-hole components and to remove excess solder from solder joints. Say for instance you bridge some connections on a chip, you bridge some legs on a chip, and you need to get that extra solder off. You just take your solder wick, put it down, put your soldering iron on it, heat up the joint, and the solder wick will just suck up all the extra solder. And because of the surface tension of the solder, it won't completely remove the solder from the chip leads. Enough will stay on there to keep the chip attached and provide good electrical connection still, so you don't need to worry about that. Now for through-hole components, you just heat up the joint, bring your solder wick in like you were going to solder it, and it'll suck the solder away right out of the hole, and the lead will be free. This stuff is a godsend on some things, and if you haven't used it, you need to pick you up some, or use the one that comes in this kit, and you won't use the solder sucker anymore. Here is the stand that comes with the 4040 rework station. This stand is a pretty good one. It's nice and heavy, made out of, it feels like steel. Has a nice big area for you to put a sponge to clean your soldering iron off on. Holds the iron pretty good. Like I said, it's nice and sturdy, made out of steel. Doesn't slide around too much. And just a basic stand. Here's the hot air gun that comes with the unit. It's a pretty slender hot air gun. It works pretty good. The nozzles go on the neck up here on the tip. It's pretty quiet also. Does not make a lot of noise. This hot air gun uses a membranous pump, and so it's a lot quieter than the other comparable fan hot air guns on the market. The airflow of this gun ranges from 0.3 liters a minute to 24 liters per minute. So you have a wide range of airflow options with this air gun. The temperature range for this air gun ranges from 150 degrees Celsius to 500 degrees Celsius. Now that is a pretty good range of temperature, but most heat shrink has a temperature limit of 125 degrees. So you have to be a little bit cautious whenever you're using it on heat shrink. If you turn your airspeed down, turn the temperature all the way down, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with it. You just got to keep an eye on, just like if you're using a lighter or something, you have to just keep an eye on it, take your time, and you'll be alright. Now here's the soldering iron that comes with the kit. As you can see, it's nice and thin form factor. It's really close to the feeling that you get when you use a marker or something. It fits really good in the hand. It's really lightweight. It keeps its temperature rather well. Changing the tips on it is really easy. Just undo the nut here, slide the neck off, slide the tip off, put a new one on, slide the neck back on, tighten it down. It does have this little rubber thing for grip here. That I think could be made a little bit better. It tends to slide around on my unit like it was stretched out or something. It may not have a problem with yours, but overall these soldering iron is pretty good. It'll do just about anything that you want it to do. Now this soldering iron is a 50 watt soldering iron. It has a temperature range of 200 degrees Celsius to 480 degrees Celsius. The temperature stability of this soldering iron is plus or minus 2 degrees Celsius per the manufacturer's website. Now I found that the thermal response for, or the thermal recovery for this soldering iron once you start using it, it is a little bit on the slow side, but it's nothing that you can't overcome. You just have to take your time when you're soldering with it. You can't just blaze through a board with it. A really good thing about the soldering iron is the cord that it comes with. The cord that it comes with is a 52-inch silicone cord. It does not have any memory, so it won't get all tangled up on you. It just lays nice. You don't have to worry about it catching on anything or fight with the coils from when you put it away the last time. It just comes out and it's nice and straight and ready to go. Now here's the lamp you get with the kit. It's just a small gooseneck lamp, and it has a 5 times magnifying glass in the top, and it also has a 15 times magnification insert in it. The magnification comes in really handy when you're trying to work on boards and stuff. The light is produced by a fluorescent tube light. They're not really bright, but they do offer some good light. I'm using 2 of them on my workbench whenever I'm working, and it's plenty. Now, if you look down here, that board here is only being lit up by 1, and it's off to the side. Now if I turn this on, it shows pretty good light, and I'll show you also what it looks like under the magnifying glass. Now here's what the board looks like with the light off through the magnifying glass. I'm trying to show you guys a little bit how much light it throws out. Now my camera's going to go nuts at first trying to adjust the white balance and everything, but this is what it looks like with the light on. And see, it does throw off some pretty good pretty good light, especially when you're soldering these small SMD components. Comes in really handy. And the magnifying glass, the insert in it, I'll show you that in a minute, is really good for checking the solder joints for cold joints or cracked solder joints. It works really nice. Let's take a look at the 15 times insert in it. As you guys can see, the 15 times magnification works really well. It allows you to read chips, check solder joints, make sure everything's all nice on there. Now, one thing I did find about this lamp is that if you move the neck over to the side too far, the base wants to tip over. But for general use, the neck on it is pretty good. It stays pretty much well put wherever you put it. You just got to remember not to take it too far in one direction, or the lamp will tip over on you. Now, changing the bulb, if you could find a bulb replacement for it, does require soldering. It doesn't just snap out and you can snap another one in. Getting to it is pretty simple. It just has a few screws on the bottom side. It's got 5 screws around the housing of it, and then it'll expose this area here where the 2 wires come through the neck up into the bulb. And you unsolder them, solder a new one back in, and it'd be pretty easy to change it. Overall, it's a pretty nice addition to the kit. Although it's not expensive, it does offer a little bit of value, and you get it free, so can't complain too much. Alright, here is the 4040 unit itself, and we're going to take a tour around it, and I'm going to show you everything about it. On the front, you can see here there's 2 power switches. The smaller one is for your soldering iron. The larger one is for the hot air gun. Your hot air gun is hardwired into the front of the unit, so you cannot remove that. And over here you can see that they have broken off the front panel into 2 different sections with the silk screening. This bottom section here is for the soldering iron. This top section here is for the hot air gun. This display, the 2 displays here, this one's for the hot air gun, this one is for the soldering iron, and these displays don't display what temperature you have the hot air gun or soldering iron set at. They display what temperature they're at currently. This knob here on the top is for the airspeed of the hot air gun. The indicator light for the hot air gun, indicator light for the hot air heating element, and this knob is for the heating element of the hot air gun to adjust the temperature. This knob down here adjusts the temperature for the soldering iron, and this is where you connect your soldering iron to the 4040 unit. If we go on around to the right side of the unit, you can see there's 4 holes holding the top cover on the unit. And these holes here are holes that will allow you to mount the holder for your hot air gun on either side of the unit. And that's just held on with 2 screws, and you can either, the 2 holes here will allow you to adjust the pitch at which the holder is set at. On the back of the unit here, you just have your AC connection, and this is a fused connection. There's a fuse inside the plug here, so if you ever go to turn on your rework station and it doesn't work, you should check your fuse first and make sure that the fuse on the input from the wall is not blown. I'll go around to the left side of the unit, and this side also has 3 holes under here. You can't see because I have the holder connected already, but it has the same 3 holes that's on the other side. And to switch this over, you just undo these 2 bolts, put them on this side of the holder, and screw them into the other side. Now on top, you can see that there's a handle up here for you to carry the unit with. It just pops up so you can carry it around. And that's about it for the 4040 unit. Now I want to show you guys how to get the 4040 hot air rework station up and running for the first time. Now when you first receive your unit, it's going to come kind of like this without this hot air gun holder on it, and you just screw that into the side. Now one thing you got to remember before you turn it on is to tip back the station. And right here there's 3 screws. It should be covered up with yellow tape. Now these screws have to come out before you use this station. And these screws are on there to protect the pump during shipping, and if you leave them in there, you will damage the unit when you turn it on. The only thing you got to do is get a screwdriver, take out these 3 screws, like that. Tip your unit back up, and that's pretty much it for that part. Now you get your soldering iron, and here's the connector for your soldering iron. It's a keyed connection to here, so it can only go in one way. You slide the connector all the way in, then you just tighten down this little nut that's on the connector. Tighten it down all the way so it's nice and secure, doesn't come out, and that's all there is to it. And that about wraps it up for the 4040 hot air rework station. Like I said, it's a very good overall station. You cannot beat it for the money. It's very nice build quality. It has very good versatility. You can do just about anything with it. Any beginning electrical engineer or computer engineer or hobbyist would be glad to have one of these on their workbench. They can accomplish just about any task that they would need one of these for. Now it's time to get this video wrapped up and let you guys know what I think about the unit. This unit comes to market at a very competitive price, a lot cheaper than some of the name brand rework stations out there, but just as good. Some of the things that I did find wrong with it is the soldering iron, the thermal recovery of the soldering iron is not as good as, say, a Pace or a Heiko soldering iron, but it definitely will allow you to get the job done. You just have to wait a little bit longer to get it done. You have to have a little bit more patience. Now this unit is a pretty big unit compared to some of the others on the market. The footprint of it is pretty large, and the hose for the hot air gun is quite thick. It's not very long, it's thick, it doesn't like to be kinked up too much, so it's kind of a little bit difficult to get that out of the way. Another thing I found with this unit is the hot air gun, whenever you put it in the holster and you're not using it, if the switch here is turned on, the hot air gun stays on, and it stays, the heating element stays on and the fan stays on the whole time. So whenever you're not using it, you got to remember to turn it off, or it could become a fire hazard as it just keeps blowing out the back, and it could cause some damage to some things. Now when you turn the hot air gun off, the switch off, the fan will stay on at whatever setting that you have the air set to. when you turned it off, but it'll only stay on until the temperature of the heating element in the hot air gun gets down to 50 degrees Celsius. Now I kind of like that. It helps slowly cool down the heating element to give you a longer lifespan of the heating element, so it's not so hard on it. That's a pretty good feature. Now, some of the good things I like about this is the price. The price is very competitive. You're not going to find many, if you can find any at all, at a lower price than these, and the quality of them is very, very well. The versatility of this 4040 rework station is quite diverse. You can do just about anything with this that you want to do. You can do television repairs, you can do hobby work, you can wire your own circuits up, you can do all different kinds of things. The form factor of the soldering iron is very nice. It's a nice slender, sleek design. Lets you hold it and it just feels like you're using a marker. It's a very nice soldering iron. One thing that I was extremely surprised at about this unit is the quietness of the hot air pump. Now, I have used quite a few other rework stations, and most of them use a fan design, and this one opted for a membranous design. It has a membrane pump inside the unit that pumps the air through the hose and out the end of the wand, and it is much, much quieter than any of the fan designs that I've ever seen. Another good thing about this kit is all the extra stuff that you get. You get a nice assortment of hot air gun tips. You get a nice assortment of high quality soldering iron tips. You get a free gooseneck lamp, and you can't really complain about it. It's a really nice kit. So if you guys could rate, comment, subscribe, it would really help me out a lot. Leave any questions or comments that you have below, and I'll get back to you with a response. And stay tuned for some more reviews and tutorials. I should have a couple more reviews of soldering stations coming out this week, and also another Arduino tutorial coming out. Let me know what you guys think about those, and I'll see you guys later.